This is my first MPC ever, and after using it for the past couple of days, as someone who does everything inside of Fender Studio Pro, I wanted to see if this thing could actually fit my workflow, or if it just doesn't make sense for someone like me. The AKAI MPC Sample has been getting a ton of attention lately, and for good reason. It's a portable MPC at a relatively affordable price that's easy to pick up and start using. Now, if you're already an MPC user, you probably already know if this is for you. But if you're someone like me, fully in the box with a DAW and never owned an MPC before, then the real question for us is, can something like this actually fit into a DAW-based workflow? I've been using the MPC Sample for the past couple of days, and so in this video, I want to break down where it actually worked for me, where it didn't, and whether or not it makes sense to add something like this to my setup. Also, this video isn't sponsored. I bought this with my own money, so let's get into it. Okay, so why did I get this thing when I already have a workflow that I'm super comfortable with? Well, if I'm being totally honest, part of it was the curiosity because I've just never owned one. MPCs at this point are synonymous with hip hop, which I make a lot of, so I've always been curious. Regular units though have always been just way too expensive for me to justify as purely an experimental piece, but from what I understand, this unit is the first of its kind at this price point, which made it a lot more accessible. The MPC Sample also strips away a lot of the features from the more expensive models, which can seem like a bad thing, but as someone who has always been intimidated by the MPC workflow, this actually felt like the perfect place to start. The second and more practical reason though, is that sometimes I just don't want to fire up my entire rig or even pull out my laptop and go through that whole process. Studio Pro is super powerful and ultimately I would want to finish my projects there, but I wanted something that was tactile and portable that I could just pull out quickly and use as a scratch pad for ideas. So then, did it live up to my expectations? Yes and no. The first thing I'll say is that this unit does exactly what I would hope it would do for me creatively. Not only is it super portable, making it easy to just throw in a bag and take with you, but it's also a fantastic little scratch pad for quick ideas or honestly just messing around because it is super fun. While other MPCs focus on being full DAW replacements, this feels more focused on quick ideation, especially with how well it handles sample-based beat making. I mean, after all, it is in the name. The MPC Sample comes packed with internal sounds that you can use right away, but it also has an SD card slot where you can load in your own sounds, a built-in microphone that you can use to sample anything, and you can even sample from your phone through the USB-C port using apps like Splice and Tracklib. Super fire. Over the last couple of days, I've just been leaving this thing in my living room table, and that alone has made it really easy to pick up and start creating without thinking about it too much. Again, creatively, this is exactly what I wanted. Something I can sketch ideas on quickly and then take into the studio and finish in Studio Pro. But this is also where things started to fall apart for me. Okay, so this thing has two big flaws for me right now, and the first is integration. As mentioned earlier, I personally would want to start an idea on the MPC Sample and then finish it in Studio Pro, but as it stands, there is no clean built-in stem export option. I mean, technically you can do it, but it does require a few workarounds. The first method is to go old school. You mute every sound except one, resample that pattern into another pad, and then repeat that for every sound you used. Then you would connect your MPC to the computer and extract the files. It works, but it's tedious. The second method involves using the USB-C connection to record the audio directly into your DAW. You still have to use the same mute approach as before, but now you're syncing the MIDI clocks between your MPC and your DAW, and then setting the MPC as the recording device. If everything is set up correctly, you should be able to press play on the MPC and record the audio straight into your DAW. This seemed like the better set it and forget it option for me, but honestly, I just couldn't fully get it working in Studio Pro the way that I wanted. Most of what I found online was people doing this in Ableton, where they have a feature called External Instrument, I believe, and from what I saw, this lets you arm the DAW for recording, but it doesn't actually start recording until it detects incoming audio. So then ultimately, when you would press play on the MPC, everything comes in perfectly in sync. In Studio Pro, on the other hand, the moment you hit record on the DAW, it just starts recording immediately. So now you're trying to press play on the MPC exactly at the right time for every sound so they sync up, and honestly, that just creates a lot more friction. By the way, if you do use Ableton, I'll link Sarah, the instrumentalist's video below for that second method. She walks through that setup really well. So yeah, maybe this is just a Studio Pro limitation, or maybe I'm missing something. If you know more, feel free to drop it down below in the comments. Now, that being said, I did see on the MPC Sample page that AKAI is planning to add MPC software support soon. So if that allows for easier exporting and tracking out, I think that could be a solid solution. The second issue for me is sample access. Yes, you can load sounds onto an SD card, but personally, I store all my samples on an external drive, and I would much rather just plug that in via USB-C and browse directly. Having to manually transfer sounds to an SD card every time that I want to create just isn't ideal for me. Oh, and one more thing, if you're planning to sample directly from your phone, just know that it doesn't seem to work with iPhones using a Lightning port and a USB-C adapter. I tried multiple times and I just could not get it to work, so it seems like you need a native USB-C connection. So then, does it fit into a DAW workflow? It can, but it's a bit tedious right now, and the level of integration might just also depend on what DAW you are using. For me, this was meant to be a portable scratch pad that I could create with quickly and then bring ideas into Studio Pro later. That part works. The problem is just getting things out. If you're okay with dealing with the current workarounds for exporting, then it's usable. If not, that might be a deal breaker until better integration comes along. Now, as far as the sample access thing, that honestly is just more of a personal preference. It wouldn't be a huge deal for me if I could reliably sample from my phone, but since I can't, it just adds a bit more friction, so this might just be a me problem. All that said though, I am going to keep this unit. I do hope AKAI improves some of these things in the future, but even as it stands, it is a really, really fun piece of gear to create with. Ultimately for me, this isn't replacing my DAW. This is making sure that I don't miss ideas when I'm not at it. But there you have it. What are your thoughts on the MPC Sample? And if you're also working inside of a DAW, do you see yourself picking something like this up? Let me know down below in the comments, but as always, thank you for hanging out with me, friend, and I'll see you on the next one.